Hello.
We're spooky.
Hello.
We're spooky.
Oh, the same
Happy
thing happened
Halloween.
again. I don't see either of you.
You don't see us?
We can see you. Well, I
Why
can
is
see you.
this happening? It's so weird.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy sort of Halloween.
Yeah, close
It's a
enough.
little early.
Yeah.
And sort of happy. We do have one sick 2 NPC tonight.
Yeah.
Kara's gonna
Yeah.
do her best.
Yeah.
I don't need to wear a costume.
Yeah.
This is
Because you're scary by yourself.
I'm scary for myself.
Yeah.
This is my face.
Yeah. Mostly what you have, not your face.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, I'm on the upswing, so
Yeah.
it's just amazing how can't talk that well still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I had it, I didn't really have like a lingering breath problem. Like for me, it was sore throat. That lingered for like a week after I was done with it, but
No,
it was
the
more.
sore throat was the
Okay.
first to go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
Anyway.
Speaking of COVID, tonight we're going to be talking about fears and phobias.
Woo.
In the spirit of Halloween, talk about the stuff that scares us, and we also want to hear about the stuff that scares you. And we're gonna, I don't want to get too fucking existential. Like fear of commitment does not count.
Oh, that's a different stream.
Yeah.
That's a different stream. So mostly, fears and phobias that are real life things that we interact with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Should we do our intros first before I get into it?
Oh yeah, sorry. I just blew past intros because we were talking about Kara. Hi, my name is Des. They them pronouns. And I make weird shit on the internet. Mostly porn. Joe?
Spicy stuff. Yeah, my name is Joe. They, them as well. I am a swim instructor, lifeguard. It's sort of a new career change. I was a educator in the sexual violence sector for the better part of a decade before that. Yeah, now I teach people primarily how not to drown, but also how to be better swimmers too. So
Okay.
that's a little about me. And then Kara, we'll throw to Kara.
Kara, she, her. I don't do really anything right now.
Because you're recovering from a
I'm
badass
recovering
thing.
from the vid.
Yeah.
You are healing.
Yeah. Usually I do make video things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Yeah. I am mostly a potentially more silent participant tonight. So please don't think that I am not interested in fears.
Mm-hmm.
I have many of them. Not so many phobias. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Halibut. How not to drown 101. If you survive, you pass. Yeah.
That's a good policy.
Yeah.
I decided that because it was the Halloween episode that I would come in costume.
Mm-hmm.
And for us.
Yeah. just because I love my friends in the North so much. I am a Canadian.
Yeah.
A Canadian. Free healthcare and all.
Free healthcare and all.
Yeah.
I feel super healthy and my pockets are very heavy with my metal currency.
This is
loony. Nice.
I found this the other day in like a bag. I don't know where I got it. I mean, I assume Canada, but like I don't know why it was in there. But
I
have
it's
Canadian
leftover.
currency.
I mean, I have a whole bag of American coin just collecting.
I still have some yen coins in
pennies.
my camera bag from our Japan trip.
What?
That's cool.
That's cool.
They're all like single N. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
the coin that feels like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All denim. That's right, Hess. It could have been an all denim thing.
Yeah, I went with more of like a lumberjacky sort of Canadian.
Isn't a Canadian tuxedo not actually a Canadian thing? Like, wasn't it started by an American? Like a guy from Texas?
It could be.
I don't know.
I thought it was.
No, I was supposed to run to Tim Hortons before this and go get a coffee, and I forgot.
Oh, that would have been it.
Yeah, that would have sealed it. Yeah.
I tried. Which is hilarious that Ohio has Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
We're like,
that was something I was very excited about when I went down there for the first time.
You get your Tims?
I don't go to Tim's. Just that there was Tim's.
it's just like a little piece of home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It confused me slightly. So.
Well, that's like when I saw an IHOP up here. I'm like, what the hell are you doing up here?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Though it's funny that IHOP is like really, really American when it's supposed to be International House of Pancakes.
I know.
This hat is just like a little too.
That's gonna be warm.
It's actually kind of cold in here right now, so I don't mind it.
What do Canadians fear the most?
Moose.
I don't know. Oh, that sounded like the setup for a joke.
Yeah, I know.
What do Canadians fear the most?
Oh, I'm saying literally moose.
No, I think Faji was being literal, and I just took it as the beginning of a joke.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. What do Canadians fear the most? There was a zinger there that was missing.
Stop it.
Goose? Geese?
Yeah. What are you guys afraid of? What are you?
Bugs.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what kind of bugs?
All bugs. I don't like their shifty behaviors. They are very
they're untrustworthy.
fast, and they pop out of nowhere, and they're very annoying, and they seem to fly at you for some reason. Spiders. I think I was talking about this on my stream last Friday. If I see a spider, like in my room, I fixate it and I stare at it, and I can't. Like I have to get rid of it, otherwise I can't focus on anything else. Like I'm just hyper fixated. Or if I see one and it skitters under something, I'm like, "Fuck! There's a spider here. I can't sleep now."
I can't sleep now. What if the spider comes at me?
Like gets in my mouth, climbs on my face, like, yeah. Mice are a bit freaky. I had mice in the apartment recently.
Of mice.
They were cute, but it was you can hear mice more, and it's more like the
creepy like scritchy scratchy noise.
Yeah, like Halibut and I were talking about this on stream. It was just like it's more that I'll be sleeping and then I'll hear this like this
yeah, that is
scratching,
unnerving,
right? And you're just like, oh fuck! Like I just wake up. It's just like an anxiety thing. So,
yeah.
But no, I can't handle bugs. Bugs are my
I can't handle bugs that are venomous.
Oh,
like if they can actually kill you, I'm afraid of them.
I feel like that's a logical fear though. Like I'm afraid of flies.
No. I'm the person like Joe knows. I catch the bugs.
Yes.
Yeah. Tara catches the bugs. And I kill them out of pure, unadulterated fear killing. Just like, get away from me.
Yeah.
I'm
what about Des?
Okay with bugs.
You're okay with bugs?
I think so. Like most of them. I get like creeped out if it's like earwigs or whatever they're called. I don't like earwigs. They freak me out. And then
earwigs are just gross.
Like they just got those big fucking pinchers.
Yeah, like on both ends and like a million fucking legs, and they're long.
Absolutely not.
No.
That is one of those animals that like I will have a hard time sleeping if I know it's like in my room or something.
Mm-hmm.
Spiders, I'm actually really totally fine with. I grew up with a neighbor who had a tarantula, and I loved that tarantula. Um, and so I'm pretty frequently the like spider getter outer person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that I'm really afraid of like probably other than venomous ones because I did encounter a scorpion in Mexico once, and my heart rate was much higher than I thought it would be.
Mm.
um, yeah, what am I afraid of? I have one for our section of phobias, but
I don't know what an earwig is.
an earwig? They're
Hold
just
on, I'm looking it up.
oh, they've just got like their little bodies and they got pinchy little fucking
Yeah. Think of like a worm with like 1,000 little legs and like a
Oh,
spiky head and spiky butt.
okay, I'm about to show this to people. Don't be freaked out.
yeah, gross.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, I would just remove it from my space.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't Google that. Please don't.
Literal
Oh,
demons.
another phobia I have, and I didn't really realize this. I had it until I didn't realize it had a name, but and I'm blanking on what it is right now. But it's a fear. I have a reaction to stuff like a bunch of holes all together.
Ooh.
Trypophobia or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Trypophobia. Yeah,
Trypophobia.
yeah, that's another one. And I didn't really realize it until they released a Destiny ghost shell that in the art it has all these little holes. It doesn't actually have them, but it's all these little holes in the art. And I couldn't even look at the shell in the game. Like I had to delete it right away and stuff like that. And then they
No.
fucking made armor. They made armor where like the back of the warlock was all these like little holes together. And I was like, why would you do this? Why?
Right.
This is horrifying.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, fears, not phobias. What are some fears? Mine are mostly like existential.
That's kind of what I was just thinking. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, okay. Like a very real fear I have is like World War III. like no, legitimately, I'm really afraid of the world falling into something like that again. Like just witnessing certain things happen in terms of a like situational current events thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an authentic internal device I have to like try and turn off.
yeah.
Be like, it's
Mm-hmm.
Like it starts to activate your fear response.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like try not to get into this overactive cycle of fear of like, what would I do if something were to happen? Yeah. But
Yeah. I think I've got some fears sort of in general like that. I'm trying to think. I mean there's lots of common ones like bugs,
Mm-hmm.
heights. I definitely have a height phobia, which I'll
heights, yeah.
talk about later.
But heights is like survival fear. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know that it's utterly logical though.
Oh,
Which is
it
like
is.
no,
It
well,
is. Like I
in
remember
certain situations
you
like,
were on a bridge and you were freaked out. Like
you know,
the
but like the bridge was not in any like danger of collapsing. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
dangerous bridge. Like I
Oh,
should have
I
just been
see.
able to walk on it, but like like a fear that is so debilitating that it like actually physically affects you
Oh, will
like that.
stop you. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like a phobia. Something that totally just like
Yeah.
I physically can't go any closer to this thing. Like cuz when I was up there my knees were shaking
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and I had to sit down.
Yeah,
But
I think there's probably a difference between like a discomfort with something and then
yeah.
like a phobia, right?
Or
Because I
something
think
that
that's
makes you just like do that like that one gasp. Like you know
yeah,
when you with that first gasp when you spot a spider across the room like and then like
yeah,
you can kind of like take care of it.
yeah,
Right.
Like You just work through your fear. But like phobias is like, and then that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Until you remove
It
yourself from the
becomes
situation.
all encompassing and you can't function properly. Yeah. Trypophobia is that for me. Like yeah. Spiders, again, I'll fixate and I can't sleep. I'm anxious. Yeah.
I mean,
claustrophobia. I'm mildly claustrophobic. If I think about it, if I'm in an enclosed, we used to work at a tech company, and I managed the the hotel window of video on demand. So movies, when they're released, have the sort of theatrical, and there's a DVD release, but in between that, there's a hospitality window that's like a month or two. And so I'd have to sit in this like secure room and manage servers. And if I thought about the fact that like at all sides was like reinforced steel and there was an electronic lock, and like if the lock failed,
oh yeah, it was like a vault, right?
yeah,
wow.
it was a literal vault. I'm like, I had to think, if I thought too much about the fact that it was like I'm in a steel box, it started to freak me out a little bit. So it was reasonably sized, but there were a couple of days where I started thinking about the fact that like if I get locked in here, it started to freak me out. So
yeah,
I have no issue with that. I wear a motorcycle helmet. I go spelunking. I think I would probably freak out if I got stuck.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, like the Descent, I don't think I can actually watch that horror movie.
Oh no.
It was funny because I was talking with a friend about it, and she was sending me trailers. We were building a little horror movie list because we watch horror movies together. And she sent me the trailer for Descent, and I was watching it. I'm like, I don't think I can actually watch this movie. I watched Hereditary recently, and it scared the fuck out of me, but I could watch it. The Descent I was watching, I'm like, I don't know that I can watch this because I literally have fears about getting stuck in caves. And then I saw that there's a monster in the Descent. I'm like, oh, thank God there's a monster. Something else to focus on.
Right.
Because if I had to focus on just the fucking cave shit,
nope,
not doing that.
It's weird, like trying to pinpoint like the difference between a fear, phobia, and an anxiety is like we're kind of splitting hairs. It's funny, every time we do these like define a word segments, we always just end up at the end of it being like, it's sort of undefinable, but like you sort of can't nail it down.
I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, language is complicated.
Yeah.
But like I just thought that was funny when I was thinking of it. So what is the difference between a fear and a phobia?
A fear, I think, is how we were describing, like you get a elevated heart rate, you become like fixated on it. Right? Like you can't really shake it. Whereas an anxiety is like a rumination on it. You go past the reality of what is in front of you. Right?
Yeah.
And then a phobia, I would define as like debilitating. Like it affects not just your life in that moment, but like in any moment in your life.
And to that point, I just like wanted like make a probably me. I don't think it's splitting hairs, but just like advocate. Like there's a difference between feeling anxious and anxiety. Anxiety is a mental illness, right?
Oh,
and
sure.
Mental illness haver, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that makes us feel anxious, but anxiety, I think what Kara was talking about is the more mental illness side of things, where because like my anxiety, I invent narratives, right? And ruminate on those narratives and spiral with those narratives, and those cause anxiety attacks, which sometimes results in a panic attack, right? Interestingly, those are not fear-based. So I think
because
fear's a bit different.
Fears are healthy.
Yeah.
Like some fears are very healthy to have.
Yeah.
So it's a part about being human. Unfortunately, sometimes we get fears because of bad things happening to us. But then there's also fears that we have that are just integral to stay alive.
Yeah.
For thousands of years. They're like, hey, don't jump off that cliff. It's really high up.
Yeah.
So maybe we should trick your brain into being afraid of that a little bit.
Well, Naraku demon,
Naraku.
Naraku demon is talking about that very thing. Like I think it's. I can highlight here. Yes.
Oh, I can't. Oh,
I have control somehow.
yeah. I don't know how. That's great.
I just want to, because I think that's kind of what Kara was talking about there. It's like logical fears are because of trauma. The fear response is triggered, but I'm not actually afraid of the thing psychologically.
Yeah, there's no like logical reason for the fear. It's just like your body remembered a thing that was traumatic and now has extrapolated from that data that this is also a thing that is traumatic. So we need to exit the situation and or protect ourselves.
Well, like I'm teaching somebody recently teaching someone now recently had a drowning experience, and we're slowly like working, getting some comfort in the water, but like there's stuff around, like we went to a bit of a deeper part of the shallow end of the pool, and not being able to touch the bottom of the pool triggered a panic attack, right? And so we had to go back to where they could touch and stuff like that. So yeah, trauma is different because trauma, I think, it's the survival nervous system remembering a past event based on current events, right? So you smell something or you feel something now, it's connected to a traumatic event. Your traumatic brain is not in your prefrontal cortex. Your traumatic brain is subconscious, and it doesn't have a sense of time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if one point in your life you felt trapped in a traumatic event, and then later on in life you feel trapped, the trigger of being a sensation of feeling trapped here brings back that response to that traumatic thing in the past, right? It's just like it feels the same, so the same thing's happening. It's subconscious, right?
But you can have exposure to things you're afraid of to reduce that level of fear.
Yep. Yeah,
Right?
but it needs to be controlled, small doses, and contextualized.
Intentional.
Yeah.
Well, I almost drowned when I was 9. I was at a swim meet, and if anyone's ever been to a swim meet, like a big swim meet, there's these things called warm-ups. And it's when everyone in the whole swim meet gets in the pool to do an initial 30-minute swim.
We're talking hundreds of people at once.
Hundreds of people. Over occupancy in a pool.
Yeah.
Is what
Lifeguards
it is.
hate warm up.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And when I was 9, I was probably I was very small. Like 4'4", 4'5". I was tiny. And some big kid, 13 or 14 years old, kicked me in the face when he was getting out of the pool. And it knocked me underwater, and I swallowed a bunch of water. And a whole bunch of other kids were running over top of me, turning on top of me, and I couldn't get out or take a breath. And I wasn't under there very long, but I couldn't get out, so I kept on breathing in water. And then I remember it wasn't my coach. A coach like those vending toy machines, the claw, just like grabbed my shoulder and my arm and like just like slingshot me out of the pool.
Yeah.
And that was pretty scary, but I just had to do it, right? But I still remember it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I don't think I've ever had any sort of drowning experience. Like I got pulled under once in the ocean. Like I got caught.
Oh, like a riptide?
Yeah, I got caught in a riptide.
That's scary.
I remember I scratched up like the side of my face and my shoulder real bad. But I was able to surface pretty quickly. And my dad had told me, like I don't know, I don't remember how old I was. Somewhere between like 10 and 14. And my dad had told me previously you got to like swim parallel to the shore until you can sort of like get up to it. And so I just did that, but I came out of the water and like my hair was all messed up and I was all like fucking sand road rashed on one side and that was scary. I was out there by myself and
oh yeah,
very big person either. It's a big ocean. It kind of put me off from going in the water for a very long time.
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it.
So I'm guessing a lot of my fears then are situational based, like things that have happened to me that created a panic of fear. Like, I don't think there's a lot of things that and that's why I'm struggling. Like, I don't think of things that I'm like, oh, I'm afraid of that. Like, as an object, except for tiny hands. Those can go. I don't think I'm afraid of tiny hands, but I don't like them.
That's why you got a drawer full of them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's very few things that I think of that I'm just like, oh, I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of people.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say that.
Like, never in my life have I had more of a fear reaction in my life than being around certain people. Here's a really scary story. I was, how old would I have been? 14, 13. I was babysitting these kids in my neighborhood. And I always got a weird vibe from the dad. Like, I just didn't like the way he talked. And I always try to say I'll drive myself home. Or I'll walk myself. Was not drive my house, walk myself home. I was young. I was maybe also only like 10 blocks away from my house. And I remember never forgetting that feeling. And after a few months, I never heard from them again. And like the dad had like severely beat the wife to the point where she was like hospitalized and stuff. And he was arrested. And like he had like some really fucked up shit. He also had charges of like child pornography. And like, oh yeah. And I remember this weird feeling in my chest meeting this guy, because the freakiest moment was one night it was a blizzard and he refused to let me walk home. And I was like, I guess. But I remember getting in the car and like, so I love silence. Silence is great. I'm very comfortable with silence. But his silence was uncomfortable. And I was actually afraid. Like, I remember leaving the car almost before he gave me the money for the night. Because I was like, I
Gotta get out.
I am afraid of you.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. And that was the first time probably that I was just like so uncomfortable about being around someone where it was like actual fear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I've feared for my life several times.
Yeah.
Like, I've been like, I've been in like car accident situations.
Oh,
that
yeah.
were not...
Hello.
Embarrass you.
I've had some scary ones.
Yeah.
I like to admit not my fault, but
I think I've only had like one like actually life-threatening one, and then I had some close calls. But one of them was black ice.
Yeah.
Black
Same.
ice is the
One of mine was black ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've told this story on stream though. What's your story, Diz?
I used to work at a Starbucks, and I opened pretty frequently. And when you open at Starbucks, you have to be there at like 5 or 5:30. I can't remember, but it was really fucking early in the morning. So like by the time I was driving into work, it was still dark. And it was like winter, but it wasn't like we weren't totally in winter. Like it was like we were probably gonna get our first freeze soon or something. And I just didn't expect it to be as cold as it was. And I got out and it was fucking cold. And the entire city was covered in black ice.
Oh yeah.
Like it had rained or done something and then froze. And we had some weird chill.
We
And
get
like
that here too. Yeah.
yeah, like and like I didn't even realize it because it wasn't even on all parts of the road. Like, and it was 4 in the morning, and I was fucking tired and cold. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm driving, and I'm seeing like 3 cars ahead of me, like sort of swerve, and like it's starting to get bad. And so I kind of instinctually slow down, and then 3 cars hit each other. I hit a patch of black ice. Black ice is just very clear ice that you can't see on the road.
Yeah, because the pavements over here is very black because of the amount of tar we use in our asphalt. Or not asphalt.
It's asphalt.
Asphalt.
Yeah.
So I did a 180 and was facing backwards on the highway. And luckily I had like slid into the guardrail and like was on the shoulder. And there's like 5 cars coming at me. Two of them swing past me, like totally on the other side of the road. Swerve and like hit off. And then there's a fucking ambulance coming my way, and I see it trying to brake, and it's braking, and it's coming right towards me. I will forever be thankful to this woman who was driving this ambulance. She had the presence of mind to turn into the guardrail and drive herself into the guardrail so that she would bounce off the guardrail and go onto the other side of the road and not hit me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smart.
I imagine like ambulance drivers or EMTs would take like professional driving training.
Yeah, like defensive driving or something.
To teach them how to do that kind of stuff because they have a heavy vehicle. They're driving fast.
Yeah, but ambulances
usually.
are tough.
Yeah.
They're tough vehicles.
It was insanely lucky. It was like, and she just had her shit together and was just like, and just like crashed like maybe, I don't know, 5 feet in front of my car. And then bounced off to the other side of the road and landed on the other side of the road essentially.
Wow.
And then there was just like car after car after car. I was in like a 13 car pileup before, like, and I just like got out of my car and I like ran up the hill as far away from the road as I could.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like ultimately my car was fine. I was fine. Everything was fine. It was just incredibly scary. Like I can count on one hand the amount of time that I have screamed in actual life-threatening fear. That was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like I would do it.
I'm
trying to
think of fears. Huh?
There's also stuff that like scares you for fun.
Yeah.
Jump scares
for fun. I don't like. Someone made a comment about people trigger my fight or flight in general. I'm like that too. So the idea of fear for fun does not sound fun. It's just like another level.
Yeah.
I don't think like there's adrenaline that I find fun that can have risk attached to it, but never the case of like I don't like going to like spooky houses and stuff like that. I can't do it.
Oh,
it's not a fear fun. Like people who watch horror movies on a reg as like a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
I don't enjoy the act of accelerating my body to that level. Oh, Xandra, are you calling me out like this?
I don't play scary games. Played 8 weeks of Phasmophobia.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about real life fear. I think that's the difference. Like in a spooky house, I have to move my body from point A to point B.
Yeah.
In a game, I'm like, it's a game.
Yeah. I was just going to highlight this for a sec just because I wanted to really quickly just I think it is important to sort of separate trauma fears from other fears because I think trauma stuff that's more survival mechanisms kicking in based on past trauma. And I think that's always going to be a bit different than other kinds of fears. So
Yeah.
But there can be a lot of overlap, I think.
Yeah. Like,
Right?
you know, fear.
Oh, sure.
That's
But
why
the fear of dying is like a thing.
That's pretty normal. I feel like that's
Pretty
pretty common.
Yeah.
And
People usually don't want to die.
is it fear of death or is it fear of what comes after? Because I know that like when I think of like because I do have little anxiety attacks at like 3 a.m, and some of them sometimes involve the nothingness about death, right? Because if we're
I
thinking
don't
about like
think
when we
Well,
go to
so
sleep,
yours is the after death?
well, like when we go to sleep, right, we're not conscious of anything, and so
Sure.
like the only thing that we have that sort of like is close to death is sleep. But I also think about like before I existed, I didn't have a consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And so I try to think of what that would be like now having the adult brain, you know, having adult brain and then slipping into that nothingness. Because before you're born, you're born into a learning stage, right? Whereas when you die, you're more aware of things, you know.
Yeah.
And so I have fear of that, what that's going to be like. And I always talk myself out of it because like I don't know what that's going to be like because I'm not going to be around to experience what that's like.
Right.
Yeah.
But part of me is going to be like, but what if I do experience what that's like? You know,
See,
I'm worried that there's going to be something and I'm going to be stuck in the nothingness
Right.
and aware
yeah,
of it, you know?
that makes sense.
I mean,
I
I think that's what most humans rely on religion for as well, right? Is because
Mhm.
they
Sandra, that
want
seems so
something to
peaceful.
have an answer for them. But Joe, I do not share that same fear.
Nope.
I'm quite content with the idea that it just kind of it ends because I'm so obsessed with living now, right? And not to divert topics here, but living with depression for so long, you get very comfortable with the idea that afterwards is afterwards.
Mhm.
Now is now. I think I'm in the similar boat as some of these comments about what the act of death is. Um, I don't want it to be long.
Yeah, like
I
that's
want it
basically
to
where
just
I like
guillotine me.
I'm afraid of like my body deteriorating, but like
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of like getting stabbed. Like, because
Yeah.
if I just got stabbed and it was over, then it's over. Even if it,
Right.
you know, even if it hurts a little bit or like a few hours, like whatever, um, off into the wild blue yonder. Um, but it's my body. We were talking today, and it reignited a fear that I have. We were talking in Sierra Lynch's Discord about something about Alzheimer's and dementia,
Oh
and
yeah.
man, does the idea of losing all of my memories scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I've talked to Kara about this and talked about the fact like not that she's my official what's the word someone who makes decisions for you when you can't make
Oh,
decisions for yourself.
executor. I'm not your.
Yeah, you're not my
Mhm.
official executor, but I've talked to you about like if I'm to the point where like I can't take care of myself, I want the plug pulled, right? And whether that's like
Mhm.
assisted suicide. I hate that term, assisted suicide. It's not assisted suicide. It's like assisted
No, there's a
Euthanasia.
different word for it now.
assisted death or
Euthanasia.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like pulling the plug or assisted death. Like I don't want. That's a fear I have.
Mhm.
So, Des, you're talking about like the deterioration of the body, or whatever, and not being able to take care of yourself. Alzheimer's, like dementia's up there too. That's nope. I'm nope. Yeah,
No.
we're not doing that.
I have plans, not right now, but a little bit later in my life, to guarantee um, that aspect of my will,
Mm-hmm.
because it's one of those things where if you have, under the current Canadian law, if you have Alzheimer's or dementia or anything of the sort, you cannot actually embark on euthanasia.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You, even if it's in your will, you
Yep.
can't do it
Is that your
because
power of
you
attorney?
have to be clean of mind in that moment to make
Yep.
it. So my here's my plan. You may use my plan if you wish, folks. So when I'm a little bit older, The plan is to make a video of myself explaining this. And I'll tell them, I'm like, if you play this video in front of me when I'm in that state for 3 months, and not one time I was able to recognize myself in that video and be lucid, it is time.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the recognition level. And the fact of the matter that, like, if I could not recognize myself under these conditions with these details, I think I would then be able to legally say from my past self that I am okay to now do this. But the Canadian government,
I don't know
we
that'll
still have.
work. I don't know that'll fly with anyone, because the second you can't recognize yourself, that's the excuse that they have, that like, oh, your Alzheimer's is just past too much,
too
and now you
bad.
can't make this
No.
decision for yourself.
But that's the thing, though, in the video, is that's what I explain. I say, I of sound mind, when I can no longer do this, that is the point of this situation.
Yeah,
Anyway, I gotta talk to a lawyer.
You gotta talk to a lawyer about
You
that.
gotta talk to a
Yeah.
lawyer, but I think there's
A lawyer, a fae, something.
a lawyer, a doctor. I think I don't know, because where is it? Where's Denmark? I think there's like some Scandinavian countries where it's fully
Well,
legalized.
someone said it's legal somewhere.
It's legal in
Naraku, where are
Amsterdam,
you?
isn't it?
What country?
I think it's
I thought it was
somewhere in the
Denmark.
Netherlands. Yeah, it's somewhere in the
Yeah.
Netherlands. Because
Yeah, but it's all about like it's how do you define suffering,
Okay.
right? Switzerland's
Yeah.
legal, okay. It's how do you define suffering, right?
Mhm.
And clean, sound state of mind. So yeah, I mean, from a logical perspective, Kara, I think that's what a will is supposed to be, right? Is saying, laying out the conditions of your death, but I think it should include not, I don't want to call it like not a death state, but like around that sort of unable to take care of yourself kind of thing, or unable to be aware of what's going on around you.
But it's different, because it's like when someone has an accident and they lose all brain function, right? You are essentially dead in your brain, but your body is physically alive, right? And you hear these stories of these people who will keep their loved ones on life support for weeks, months, years, right? That's a circumstance that would be very challenging to approach, because you do hear about stories of people like waking up miraculously or whatever. I don't know the details of this, because it's an incident or accident, versus if you have a degenerative neural situation happening, right? It doesn't like happen like a switch, right? It's progressive. So during that time, I think there would be able to, well, if you have good communication skills, you wouldn't even need to use your will. You would talk to the people around you who would eventually turn into your caretakers, and be like, hey, let's be real for a moment here. I know this is going to be hard, but when I get to a point when I don't recognize myself, I don't recognize you, I don't recognize where I am or what time I'm in for a very consistently long amount of time, it's time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not logical. I just don't know that it would fly legally, because I'm pretty sure the whole point is for you to be lucid enough to push the button.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it is now in Canada, plus like some other things. But I'm just saying, I hope eventually at one point in the future, there would be a situation where people can make decisions like this for themselves. Like my grandfather had a tumor in his brain almost the size of my fist. And his mental cognition went down severely over 5 years, to the point where he just wasn't there, right? And they had two options. They either could have done an operation or let him just ride it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the last like 9 months of his life were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just in pain
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, and I just want to acknowledge, Faji, your comment there, and that's brutal. I don't know that any of us know how we would handle a decision like that, and I'm
yeah.
sorry, like that's awful. But I think that's sort of the point that we're trying to get at here is, um, this is not, we're not like, it sounds like we're all advocating for this, and we are, but we're not
Yeah.
doing it. We're not doing it because it's going to be like a fun option, right?
No.
No.
It's just funner than dying painfully and slowly.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not that
no,
like somebody who is in this state is like we're gonna kill them, right? We're gonna spare them the pain of this slow degradation, right?
yeah.
To me, in the long run, it's a compassionate act because if a person's at a place where it's like constant pain, they don't know who they are, they can't take care of themselves, this like prolonging this existence isn't helping anybody, right?
No.
And it's, again, it's not saying that somebody who's decided to go this route and end their life on their own, so to speak, is taking an easy way out. It's avoiding the more painful route, So I don't know.
Um, to
Yeah.
to that point, and content warning. I want to talk about parental death, and
Mm-hmm.
possibly suicide. I was that person for my mom. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was given the option when my mom was in the hospital. She was very sick. She had damaged her liver very hard. She was basically losing her liver and going septic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, I was that person to be like, hey, they're at the point where we can do this 1 in a million surgery, to repair, to like cut off most of her liver, do this other thing. She wasn't going to qualify for a liver transplant. Like, it was just, that was what was going to happen. We had a 1 in a million surgery option, which
Mm-hmm.
might prolong her like another day or so. That was going to be really painful for her, or just take her off the ventilator and let her go.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepdad left that decision to me because he was going through a nasty divorce with my mom at the time, and he was like, I'm not going to be able to make this decision unbiasedly.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And yeah, it's fucking hard. It's hard to be the person on the other end of someone who is dying, but the compassionate thing for me to do in that moment, considering all of the ways that she had wrecked her body,
Mm-hmm.
was to give them permission to put her off the ventilator.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's, and she
Totally.
didn't go alone.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. And it's just about recognizing how people want to be seen too
Mm-hmm.
at the end of things. I did a documentary about Alzheimer's and dementia, and a huge component that didn't end up making the doc, but it was talking to all these people who have relatives who are currently going through it or going or have gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
And the point of it was that they've the process of them being conscious of the fact that they know they have Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
that they know that their loved ones will eventually see a version of themselves that they're not happy with
Mm-hmm.
being,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a fear, right? Like I feel like I would know that fear
Mm-hmm.
of spending blank amount of time not being who I really am,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to put that in a place where I want to make people who are currently going through it as being like, well, you should just end it.
Mm-hmm.
No. This is an understanding of we all get to make these choices for ourselves,
Or
Mm-hmm.
we should.
or we
We should.
should.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm advocating for the most,
Mm-hmm.
is that we should be allowed to approach these things with our own comfort level of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? There's going to be people out there who are like, no, fuck this. You're going to wipe my ass. until my body stops. Like, I'm going to keep pooping into a diaper until the very, very last breath.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, there's the flip side. It's just about choice.
Yeah.
And I choose to try not to be that version of myself at the end and become a burden on the people around me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, health fears are pretty big with me. Also just because living in the US, we just don't have good healthcare. So like an illness or whatever, or a broken bone or an injury, like, can really be debilitating, like, financially and just in my day-to-day. I got shit to do. I got work to do. I have 2 animals to take care of. I have a dog I need to walk constantly. I got stuff. So I'm trying very hard to fix the parts of this meat suit that are currently not feeling so healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm trying not to be afraid of medical stuff anymore. Because yes, same. I'm always worried about, something happening, but I'm realizing if I'm in the current state that I'm in where I can go do some of the things that I want to do with my life, I should start taking that as a priority.
Yeah.
I actually got really mad at not at the Instagram reel the other day, but like I was angry because of what they were saying, because I was like, fuck this. Yeah. What the hell? This whole idea in a lot of developed nations that we work from our mid-teens till our late 60s and then we go have fun.
Nope.
Yeah. I used to be very fixated on that, being like, how am I going to survive in late age? Am I going to have my, and I'm like, no, if asterisks, if I make it to that point, I will be fine. Yeah. I will live in some sort of senior discount housing and eat tiny bins of soup. And
I mean, that's part of the reason why it's like I'm so here for like the tribe and the community and like the
Right.
little the very finely curated group of friends that I have, because I want something like that when I am older. And like, my 2 best friends, we've always joked that like we would just move in together, like we would just be old, like gray lesbians together, and that would be our lives. Yes. Absolutely. You can be
wonderful.
I have
old
an
gray
agreement
lesbian number 4
with. So the friend I mentioned that we watch horror movies together, we've agreed that when we get become of retirement age, that we're just gonna like, again, move in together and like just be in our rocking chairs, and we'll have like Office Space reruns running in the background, and still laughing at the same Office, not Office Space, the Office jokes, when we're like 60, 70 or whatever. But
we'll have the robots by then.
Yeah.
The robots will, our little exoskeleton walkers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also like another thing. My financial future is like sort of within my control, but like not really, because the economy is a thing that is very big, and not something that I can directly manage. But I can invest in my health and invest in my happiness, and that will take me miles further than a dollar will.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Your mindset as you get older and you become less and less physically capable. But I also think that that's a load of shit, because there's this really weird drop off point where people become very unattached socially and physically in your like 80s. But if you, like Des is saying, if you have a good tribe and a good network, you won't drop off. You'll keep going. Right? Like that's the reason why you still see 90-year-olds who are like walking every day. and stuff. Like it's not
Mhm.
this like terminal 90s decade if you make it that far,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and this is for me like hitting home because like part of my current life situation is having a parent that can't really take care of themselves anymore. And for me, aside from other processing emotionally that I'm doing, like I am determined that because I'm in my mid 30s right now, I'm determined that my 40s and 50s, I'm going to be trying to be the healthiest that I've been. Like I'm going
Yeah.
to swim more, like,
Yeah.
and it's not like a punitive or like anger response to this, but I'm like, I want to be able to take care of myself in my 70s and my 80s and my
Yeah.
90s, right? Like when I go and just thinking about like now who talking about here, just like when I go, I want to have a glass of scotch, I want to have a good dinner, and I want to just go, right?
Mhm.
I want to have control over that moment, you know? And I think I'm going to know when that moment is, but I want to make sure that up until that moment, I have as much control over. Good job, Kara. I have as much control over my existence
2
as possible.
messages tonight.
Kara's feeling the fatigue, I think. But it's like, I want to have as much control up until the end as possible, right?
No.
And if that end is at 90, if that end is at 80, 70, or 60, I mean, God's forbid. But up until that point, whenever that point is,
Mhm.
I want that kind of control. And right now, what I can control is I want to have processes in place that allow me to extend that time period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to fears.
Back to
Yeah.
fears. Quick
I
shout
just,
out to Naraku. Naraku, go outside and touch some grass, you degenerate. Jesus Christ.
I also do
There's
want
a
to
whole world.
acknowledge Xandra,
Okay.
just to because Xandra's going back talking about like some Alzheimer's stuff that her grandmother has strangely become a nicer person now that she doesn't know who any of us are. I, I think that's interesting because I think my friend, she's also going through that. Like Alzheimer's can be really weird too, um, because like if you have a parent, if the person with Alzheimer's is somebody that you have a complicated relationship with, then you have to then process the fact that the person who may have hurt you in the past no longer exists, right? And
Oh
now
yeah.
this other person is here. Like I don't know, it's just a
Processing
weird,
morning. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a weird thing to have to navigate, and I don't envy that process. And I may there's signs that I may have to deal with that as well coming up here. So
I need to highlight Hess's comment here. My friends are all too set in their ways.
Oh.
None of them want to make an artist commune with me. Hess, we'll make one.
Yes.
It's okay. Well, this is my plan. So my retirement plan is I want to buy some land out in British Columbia and make a campground
Yeah.
and just
yeah,
A
live
little,
on the campground.
what do they call those? Uh, an intentional community or whatever?
An intentional community.
I think
I don't know.
so.
I just want to be in nature for
hmm
the second half of my life. Second half of my life. I don't know. Here's the other thing. I am also like the biggest fucking nihilist. And I'm just like, I could wake up tomorrow and have a brain aneurysm and that's it. So that's what I'm saying. There really is, all that mumbo jumbo about people being like, pay $26.99 for my yoga, blah blah blah, and also learning how to be in the moment. I'm like, don't pay the $25.99, but do remember to understand that there is something about living in the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not gonna have a nihilist off.
Nope.
No. But
No.
but yeah, no, I am quite on the strangely positive side of nihilism.
hmm
Like nihilism doesn't seem negative to me. It's just like the grandiose aspect of the universe seems quite amazing to me. And the insignificance of our planet in the whole thing is quite interesting.
See, I think you're approaching existentialism at that point.
Yeah.
Well, no, nihilistic, right? It's just like it doesn't matter what I do, right? Existentialism isn't it about value and purpose?
Yeah.
Like nihilism is like the fact that our like
No.
Earth in a billion trillion galaxies is insignificant. Anything we do here will not matter ever.
Yeah, it's just like when you talk about like having a positive side of nihilism, I don't think nihilism is necessarily positive or negative.
Yeah, I
Nihilism, you're
think
right.
nihilism is just it's neutral.
Well, no,
Yeah.
people interpret it as like positive. Like people.
No, but it's saying like from what I understand, it's like saying things don't matter,
Yeah,
right?
nothing matters.
Right.
And existentialism is saying that is agreeing, yeah, things don't matter if you don't think that they do, right?
Right.
And that you define the meaning into existence.
Well,
right?
people
I
attach
barely
doom to nihilism,
graduated
and
high
I'm just
school.
like I don't attach doom to my nihilism.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's more of a nothing matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With unicorn and rainbows in the background.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted, to bring an Assassin's Creed quote into it.
There you
Exactly.
go.
My newest thing is just like I don't know why is just being like who cares? It's fine. Those are my 4 words. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because
It's fine. Yeah.
Nope. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's fine.
Yeah. But
if the answer to one is somebody caring, then you stop at step 1.
but people
and-
are afraid of that. When we're talking about fears, people are afraid of that.
Mhm.
Because what does that mean? What does life mean if nothing really matters?
Mm-hmm.
The fear is, well then it's a very I use this word specifically, it's an egotistic mentality
Mhm.
to think that your existence matters in the grand scheme of things.
Invoking one's ego. Yes.
In the way
Mhm.
that I see it.
Yeah.
There is no purpose. People 2 generations from now will not know who you are. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right.
Mhm.
There's nothing to be afraid of with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just moving on and focusing on what you can do.
I know none of us share this particular fear, but like fear of legacy or like fear of loss of legacy.
Mm.
Like, you know,
No,
with
I have that.
kids.
I have that.
I don't.
Nope.
It's not loss of legacy per se. It's a fear born out of other
Sorry.
mental problematic processes of like, and I've talked about it on this show before, but like fear, like I've defined my existence by other people's approval, right?
Mm.
And so part of like my anxieties of the last couple of years has been that whole like I should be further along in like the check marks of life, right? Should have a partner, should have 2.3 kids, should have a house with a red door, white picket fence, all that kind of, I should have those things.
Mhm.
And I go into a shame spiral that I don't, you know? And so I've been working on that. Because like when I actually interrogate it, it's like, do I want those things? No, not really. I mean, I want to be in like romantic partnerships and stuff like that, but like the shoulding component of it is
Mhm.
entirely externally imposed.
Yeah.
But it's deeply, deeply ingrained. And part of it was like, I want to be remembered. But why? Why remembered by who?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
For how long?
There's lots of very shitty people who have a really long lasting legacy.
Yep.
Yeah. Usually, if you're pretty shitty, you're remembered more. That's not a good thing to have focused on,
No.
folks.
No. No.
This is interesting, though. Halibut Barnes' comment. Maybe a fear that we will never have mattered. See, that's the difference, Halibut Barnes. It's not that you don't matter. Everyone matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the focus of like people have a specific fear that they won't be remembered past a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only thing that is valued. Like if people 100 years from now don't know who you are, what's the point? But everyone matters. Like everyone's existence matters, and we should all try to be as good as we can in the time that we do have, because it matters with the current connections that we have, the
Yes,
people around
you
us.
matter too. Yeah.
Yes, everyone matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Everyone matters.
Yeah,
Well, and
We just don't matter to the universe.
yeah, the
exactly.
universe is like, I don't give a
Yeah.
shit about these
I
tiny little
could not give a
No.
fuck about
creatures.
these people and their
Yeah.
stupid
Well,
podcast.
Yeah.
there was,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an epiphany that I had a couple years ago, but it was like with the whole climate situation, there was a really interesting article I read, and then I listened to someone, and then I like combined two things in this point where it's like a hurricane doesn't hate you.
Mm-hmm.
Like a hurricane doesn't exist to hate people who live on a coast. An earthquake doesn't hate you. A forest fire doesn't hate you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no emotional attachment to these huge natural disasters. They're just things that happen on our planet. Yes, being influenced by things that we're doing, but that's not the point. The point is that a lot of things in our existence just happen.
Mhm.
And there's no focused hatred on you because of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And an amazing thing that I started assessing was like some bad things happen in our lives, and we can look at it as like a pinpoint target attack, or we can look at it as this happened.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mhm.
really sucked. Okay, how do I get out of this, or how do I get help to get out of it, or do I want to get out of it? You know, those are more the questions instead of just being like, no, this thing hates me.
Mm-hmm.
What am I gonna do? You know, in my example of being depression, like my brain has an imbalance. It doesn't actively have another being in here going like, you know what, Kara? Fuck you. We're gonna just keep dropping your serotonin off of it like a little check mark, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting shift in understanding like depression doesn't hate me,
Mm-hmm.
even though it makes me want to hate myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I looked
Well,
at it as like, I can do something about this.
yeah.
So,
In that vein, like meant like for anxiety, right? My
yeah,
anxiety doesn't hate me. My anxiety is actually trying to protect me, right? My anxiety is an imbalance that is worried about things and it's worried about me, right? How it goes about protecting me is ineffective, right?
right.
But it's not doing it because it wants me to suffer, right? It's just processes that were put in place for various reasons that now are problematic, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was
This
just
is
like,
a nice, yeah.
I was just giggling a little bit at some of the peanut gallery that's developing a little bit
Yeah.
here in
The,
the
I
chat
like
here.
this. Um,
Um,
huh? Oh, recently me one day someone think about you
Someone will
for
think
the-
about you for the last time in eternity. You will be forgotten by the world and the universe. Not if I eat the Mona Lisa. Facts. Spitting
Yep.
straight facts.
Yep.
I mean, this is one way to make that work
Yeah.
for sure. There was another comment I liked that was a little more poetic. Everybody dies twice. Once in life and another when the last person thinks of you. I actually like that quote.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I That's what I want. So what's funny is Eater Noise. I've heard a variation on this quote, which is everybody dies twice, or sorry, a dancer dies twice, once when they stop dancing and another when they die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think, and I kind of like that as applied to all artists. Like, uh, like an artist dies before they die if they stop making art.
Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, a lot of people say, well, oh, all the artists who have art in museums are still in a way alive. And I'm like, no,
No,
the thing
they're
they
very.
made is alive. They aren't.
They are not. They are dead.
They are not.
Yeah.
Like, they not. Like, do you think Van Gogh's like rolling around in the afterlife being like, I'm so fucking rich?
Yeah.
I'm so no.
Or how dare you throw mashed potato in my paintings? Fuck you.
Also, wasn't Van Gogh like incredibly poor in life? Well, I would be so pissed.
Oh, he's in abject poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and depressed as fuck.
yeah, like
right?
I'd be so pissed in the afterlife to be like, all of my shit makes money after I'm dead. I couldn't
Yeah.
have been living lush. Like, what is this fucking bullshit?
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
and here's the capitalism rant for today.
Oh, here we go.
Like the fear that I have right now is fucking paying my goddamn bills. Like I don't have any other feel. It's like the world we live in with capitalism having the hold that it has over all of us, right? For like, it's how do I pay my goddamn bills? Like everybody is. I was just talking with somebody and they're paying their bus ticket to get to work today with their Visa card because their bank account's empty, right? And like talk about real hardcore fears, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is not being able to put food on the table, gas in the tank, and stuff like that. And we live in a world where people like there's a select few, like the 1%, who is like still unhappy that they don't have more money, you know. Well, while most of us are trying to put, scrape together some pennies for a snack here and there, there's people in the world that are like, I'm upset that I don't have more $1 billion, So
I could use $18 more billion now that I think about it.
yeah. I would like 5,000 to drop out of the sky. That's it.
I mean,
I
to be honest, I would be more concerned about, we talk about these billionaires who are all like on this race to become like the next remembered name for the 1,000, 2,000 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, that's what the race is. It's beyond money now. They just want the clout of being, the next name that they remember for forever.
Yeah.
And the sad, honest truth about that is most of the time, like we said, is the ones that we remember through history most of the time are pretty shitty people. Ultimately.
Yeah.
They've done enough. They've had enough consequences of their actions to basically disrupt enough human lives to perpetually be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Usually in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, Alexander the Great. Like, totally messed up so many countries and killed hundreds of thousands of people. And, like, was not that great, really. But we're like, but the Roman Empire. Fuck that.
Yeah.
British monarchy. I mean, I hate to beat the
Genghis
dead horse.
Khan.
Yeah. British monarchy basically not decimated. It's not like they, eliminated cultures, but they tried. They sure as hell tried to eliminate. They engaged in genocide, right? Colonizing the world. And, we want to memorialize their legacy and stuff like that. Fuck that. Mm-hmm. It's not a legacy that you should want, but they do. So, and here we are trying to celebrate them. And same with we go back to capitalism, right? We hold up billionaires as these some sort of fucking shiny examples of how you're supposed to live your life. When you look at how they got to where they are, it's fucked up.
Yeah, you've got like Elon Musk over here buying Twitter, and I'm over here drinking my own piss just because I can't afford any beverages. I'm kidding.
I was like, wait a minute. Hold on.
No, it doesn't have bubbles in it. I just like
apple juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. To that comment, I think mostly what it is like a lot of times, especially when we talk to ourselves as artists or people wanting to be remembered, it's usually because we don't have enough support in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's usually the answer for that constant want to have this idea that people will remember us.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, that's the sad reality is that sometimes we just don't have the support we we
Yeah.
need.
But I think at the end of the day, though, and I think some mental illness can get in the way of
Oh,
remembering
for
this,
sure.
is that you have at least one person that's going to be sad if you weren't around anymore, you know? And I think it's common to struggle with, again, trigger warning for this, suicidal thoughts. It's common to struggle with those thoughts, especially if you have mental illness or you're queer or you face some sort of marginalization in some way or another. But and not to say that you have to force yourself to go through the pain because someone else might be sad if you died, but I think if you're struggling with the fact that nobody cares about you specifically based on your friendships, there's going to be at least one person that's not going to be happy that you're not around anymore, you know? But I think on the other side, that no one cares is a great thing for me as an anxious person.
Mhm.
I've been teaching myself that for the last couple of months now. No
Truly,
one
it's
cares.
my anxiety trick. It's like, who cares? It's fine.
Yeah.
No, does first determine who cares. Am I the person that cares? Then I should do something about it. Like,
Yeah.
someone immediately important to me cares, then I should probably do something about it. Who cares? The answer is no one. Cool, it's fine.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But sort of, I don't know.
yeah, we keep tangenting on this
Keep
one.
tangenting
I
on
know.
this one.
So it's funny, Des, at the beginning you said like no existential
No
stuff.
existential crises.
Like
and
90%
then
of this conversation has been
we
like,
spent 30 minutes talking about death.
yeah,
But we figured out like how we always do, the definitions of things, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The
Yeah.
definitions of thing never last.
Okay, let's go. There was a question when we first thought of this topic. What were some things you were afraid of when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
Well, and I also want to get in, like, I do want to talk a little bit about how a lot of queer people or marginalized people or people with anxiety like me love horror.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that first?
Well, while people talk about what they're afraid of, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just noticed it, like, because I worked in again, in the sexual violence sector, and I noticed that like a lot of people I worked with, you know, face marginalization based on gender, and then a few other intersections here and there, and then like a lot of queer conversations, horror comes up as like a really comforting place, and it's interesting too. I started exploring that and leaning into it a bit more from like a person who has anxiety, and I really like horror because what I experience when I watch a really good horror movie ends, and also it's not mine. And so I thought that was really cool to process that. But I just thought it was really interesting that like a lot of queer people, a lot of women, a lot of people who face different sections of marginalization do lean into horror and are drawn to horror.
Oh yeah.
Horror or like murder podcasts or something like that. It's like that darkness is something you can enjoy for a moment and then step away from, because and it's nice to have that experience because there's other darkness that you can't escape, right?
And also recontextualizing a fear response.
Yep.
If like, you know, originally the fear response was for a very fucking good reason,
Mhm.
and you maybe don't want to feel just, you know, paralyzed by fear every time you get even a little afraid. Like
Yep.
it's, you know, something that people do to sort of ease themselves into having like retraining their brains that like having a little bit of a fear response does not mean it is the end.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. What was I afraid of as a kid? Everything. I was a huge fucking scaredy cat as a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was tiny, and everybody treated me like I was very fragile. And I couldn't do scary movies. I couldn't do scary video games. I couldn't even like I got like truly jump scared like in the first like days of the internet jump scares. Do you remember those fucking email things that would come around and it was like there's a ghost following behind this car. Stare really closely at your screen to look for this ghost.
I was just gonna mention that. Yeah. And then jump scare. Yeah.
Yes. I literally once I remember it was also on Halloween. My grandfather sent me an email with this with an attachment link thing to one of these things, and I ran out of the room and I cried. My mom called him and was so pissed. But like, yeah, that the early sort of like I didn't even read the Goosebump books, and I really loved books.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just a wee little babe. Until something like switched in my 20s. I think part of it was moving to a different area and like, I don't know, having different friends that liked different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like slowly over the last like, I don't know, like maybe 6 to 8 years, been like reintroducing myself into horror content. Like I would never have played Last of Us as like
Oh, really?
as a late teen. I wouldn't have played
Mm-hmm.
Last of Us.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes there are parts of Last of Us that are so scary, I go and I turn on the cheat that it's one shot, one kill, so I can get through the section very quickly. Still.
I'm trying. My imagination created a lot of my fear growing up. I was like terrified of being in the basement
Mm-hmm.
and like turning the light off and like running up the stairs before something was like, I honestly believe when I was 5 years old there was something living in the furnace room,
Yeah.
Yep.
and it would only come out when it was dark. Like I remember my parents being like, "What the hell is going on?" And I'm like, "It's gonna get me," and honestly believing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my nightmares have been a huge factor of my fear in my life. Like I used to have night terrors when I was quite young, and
Mm-hmm.
my parents would like wake me up, like shaking my body,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like they'd both be looking over me, and then I like, well, if anyone knows night terrors, you kind of wake up and you kind of go like, oh, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Like
Yeah.
And
it
they're
takes
like,
you like a little bit of time to like acclimate.
yeah. And they'd be like, you were screaming. And I was like, okay. But then also I just had such a active imagination in my nightmares, like pretty intense monsters and boogeymen and always being chased. That
Mm-hmm.
was a big thing. Always being chased.
My nightmares. I still get nightmares pretty frequently. I don't get any to where like I wake up screaming, at least not a lot. Sometimes I will wake
Yeah.
up crying. Um, but my biggest thing is that my dreams, for some reason my brain is very good at this. My dreams are very tactile. So like I
Mm.
will be in what I will be able to, even if I can't see anything, I will be able to feel whatever my brain is like trying to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like my brain is very good at remembering textures of things. So usually my nightmares come with a tactile component,
Right.
and that fucking sucks. And sometimes if I have a nightmare bad enough, it'll take me like an entire day to recover my mood. Like I'll
Mm-hmm.
just be sort of dour and sort of just like just sort of kind of upset all day
Yeah.
until I like have another sleep and can feel like I feel like just my brain does the reset.
Yeah. Speaking of like weird nightmares, there's this one that sticks in my brain. It's like burned in my brain, and I think I should like write some of these down sometimes. Though I did actually. There's another nightmare that I had that like scared the shit out of me, and I wrote it down because I'm like, I need to get this thing out of my fucking head because it fucked me up. Talk about like
Mhm.
ruining your day. It
Mhm.
fucked me up. Um, I wonder if I should share it in Discord at some point. Anyways, it's written down somewhere. But there was another one that I had where somebody was like, someone I knew, and I consider them a friend at the time. They're a coworker, but the imagery of the dream was that there is these like burrowing worms coming through the wall and falling onto them and like corroding their body.
Ooh.
And this was the last image I had before I woke up. Before I woke up, and I was just like, I think there was like cold sweat happening.
Woof.
It took me. It was just some of the. It was so gruesome. I talk about like being tactile. Des like it was so. I I could feel the corrosion, like I could feel their body dissolving slowly, painfully. I could just, it fucked me up. It took me, and they were my office mate, right? And so I had to see them the next day. I'm like, I don't know I'm not going to tell them this dream because that would be weird. I don't know how to interact with them. It took me like a full day to recover, and yeah, it just, yeah. But
I have the opposite impulse in that if I have a dream or a nightmare about somebody, I tell them immediately. It's like, man, we did this weird thing last night.
Yeah.
Or you died so bad.
I also had a fear of the bat from The Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, if we're talking childhood stuff, fucking Brave Little Toaster scared the shit. The quicksand. There's a monster truck. There was the crane in Brave Little Toaster. Like that trifecta fucked me up as a kid. Like it was just.
I used to visualize the bat would crawl across the ceiling in my bedroom, and he would come down and bite me. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. I looked at it now. I've seen the movie since I've been older, and I'm like, I don't get it. But Little Minds.
Oh, Naruku. Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Fuck.
Yes. Oh
yes.
my god.
Who?
That was
Judge
a terrifying
Doom
movie.
from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit was kind of a scary movie.
Yep. As a kid, you think I'm going to watch a fun cartoon. It's not a fun cartoon.
Remember me at when I killed your brother. Yeah. Fucking.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, creepy. He has weird eyes at some point. There's two
Reelers from Return to Oz. Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is. There's two puppet movies. One of them is the Black Cauldron, and one of them is the Dark Crystal. I think. Isn't there a Black Cauldron?
Yep.
Puppet movie.
I'm pretty sure Black Cauldron is older.
I think that's the one that I was afraid of as a kid. I remember one of those two puppet movies I was terrified of as a kid. And my dad.
I don't like that, Zandra. That's not cool. I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
What is that?
Those are Wheelers. These Wheelers.
Oh, Return to Oz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Bluth.
I did not like those. Oh, Naraku, yes. The fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog. There were some episodes that would get me. I would have to be like, nope, turn it off.
Yeah.
I can't watch this episode. Yeah. What else? I remember there was one episode, count them one, and I have seen every episode other than this one multiple times. One episode of Criminal Minds that I cannot watch because it scared me once. It's the one where I can't remember what seasons it is, but I remember the thing was that the serial killer had gotten to an accident and had some sort of brain trauma and had essentially lost his memory, and the team was trying to figure out where the bodies of his victims were. But he was alive, but he couldn't confess because he had lost his memory. But he kept having dreams about his victims, and at some point, there's just this dead body, and it's just laying there in this perfect little position, and the camera holds on it for a long time. And I remember I was sewing or something, and I just looked I looked at the TV, and the head was in one position. I went and I did a stitch. I looked back up, and it was looking at me.
Oh,
and I was like, whoop. And I just beep booped out of that room so fast.
That trope of that horror trope is something that gets me every time when something is there and then different in the next moment. I was just thinking about a horror movie in particular, but I'm actually thinking about I was playing a horror game recently in Sound Mind, and there was this sequence, and Xandra's here, so Xandra knows. But there were these mannequins. So you're going through a dream state supermarket, and there were these mannequins. And initially, the mannequins just had a bunch of names on them. They were former employees. But then the mannequins fucking started showing up in different parts of the level where they weren't before. And then there was this one sequence where you'd go to find this key, and you go to this locker, and it was locked. And so you're like, okay, it's locked. So you turn around, and there's the fucking mannequin with the key. And you're just like,
nope.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
You get the key, and you turn around, and so you unlock the locker. You turn back around, and it's like giving you a little salute. And it was just fucking like spine chilling stuff. Like, I love that kind of thing from like a horror movie perspective. I'd like to review horror movies. That would be a thing I'd love to do.
That'd be cool.
Because I fucking hate bad horror movies. It pisses me off. It's such a good genre, so much potential, and people ruin it.
That's why I didn't really like horror movies as a teenager, because I think everybody around me was just playing bad horror movies, and by bad I mean slashers. I don't like slashers.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Sandra, and pointing, one of the best parts. It was all downhill from that point, but that was the best part of the fucking game. It was so good. Sorry, you don't like slashers.
Yeah, the slashers, I don't like gore. And I also don't like, I also think most slashers are kind of boring. I love psychological horror though, like psychological thrillers, like that's the jam.
Oh, House of Haunted Hill was a game changer.
The Vitch, yes.
The Vitch. It's the best.
Yes. I'm so glad we made you watch that.
Not House of Haunted Hill. The Haunting of Hill House. That was
The Haunting of Hill House. So good.
That's a game-changing horror movie, or not horror movie, like horror
series. Yeah. Oh my god, that was one of those like fucking talk about preying on my fears personally. The second season, Haunting of Bly Manor, where and the showrunner said he wanted to explore the concept of dementia of the spirit.
I mean, that'd be it.
That's
a good way to explain it.
Can I say Bent Neck Lady, the episode? I won't speak to it if you haven't seen it. Bent Neck Lady is one of the best horror episode series, whatever. Best writing, best cinematography, best like pacing that I've ever seen in horror. It is. Oh, I still get chills thinking about that fucking episode.
I need to rewatch that.
I need to rewatch that too.
It's spooky season. I can rewatch that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember Clog from Neverhood? It's this guy. He scared me a lot when I was 5.
I don't even know that I know what that's from.
Yeah.
It's a video game from the mid-90s. It's called Neverhood. And his character scared the shit out of me.
No.
I didn't touch the game after that. I just turned it off. Even though like now I look at him and he's just like this kooky, like kind of like weird character.
Yeah.
When his like first introduced to him, he's like very scary.
Oh, as a kid, I could not do underwater sequences in video games.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I stopped playing Half-Life because there was a part where you had to swim through some pipes and they had like underwater enemies. No.
That sounds like claustrophobia more.
Yeah, claustrophobia. I can't handle like deep sea creatures either. Those freak me out.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of the enemies in Half-Life at the time were designed like the anglerfish with the glowing thingamajig, right? So I didn't finish Half-Life because I got to swim through a thing. I'm not playing this game anymore.
Someone spell this. Say this thing for me, because I'm not gonna be able to say it.
It's not phobia. Thalassophobia.
Thalassophobia.
Yeah, it's like the fear that something big and scary is under the water, and it's gonna come and get you.
Yeah. There was a video game that I played despite how much it scared me.
Good for you powering through. That's good.
Well, I really liked the story, and I was so invested in the story that I would play through like maybe 30 minutes at a time, and then I'd be like, okay, I had to go.
Yeah.
Rule of Rose, which was like not even like a little bit of an RPG puzzle game.
Rules of what?
Rule of Rose.
Rule.
It was a very creepy video game about a young woman who finds herself at an orphanage that is like basically run by the children, and the children are all psychopathic killers.
Nope.
Sounds so horrifying.
Solid no.
That's
I
so
just saw
fucking
the
horrifying.
image of it and I'm like, absolutely fucking not.
Oh my god, the teachers were all super fucked up, and like they were basically like monsters because the kids had kept them trapped. But then like yeah, it's spoopy. You get a dog in it, I think, which is one of the reasons I loved it. You get a dog that is like it
Can you pet the
sniffs out. Yeah, you can pet the dog, and you can give it treats. And it fights for you sometimes. Yeah, and like she also like the main character was also like from the orphanage, but also the orphanage was also a giant airship shaped like a whale in the sky.
Mhm.
It was a whole thing. It had like it had like secret society vibes because the kids all had this weird secret society. Like it was cool. But I like occasionally like there would be like these sock-headed kids that like would have big black faces, like big black mouths and big black eyes, and just like they looked almost like Oogie Boogie.
Mhm.
They just looked
Right.
like they were made of like cloth. And they would just like occasionally just like walk through, like while you're walking through a very tiny hallway, they would just occasionally
Yeah.
like pop out of doors and like run
Oh,
after
it's
you.
an Atlas game. Oh.
It got banned in several countries because it was so
I'm sure
weird.
it did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, anyways, fears.
I want to play a game here.
Okay.
I have a list of phobias.
Ooh.
And we should talk about
I
some
really
of them.
want to add Rule of Rose to how I play it, but it's running for $1,000 on Amazon right now
$1,000?
for like
Yeah,
an
'cause-
original case.
Yeah, they stopped production of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's an
forgot there's a
old
whole
school-
video game world out there.
Yeah, it's an old PS2 game
Too bad
Okay.
Alex isn't here because I'm sure Alex would know where you can get it
where you
now.
can get
Oh,
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
If anything, he has a copy.
Yeah.
Actually, he might.
So first off,
I'll
phobias
borrow it.
are a mental illness.
Phobias?
They are classified as under the United States National Institute of Mental Health. Phobias are a mental illness. So,
I mean, that makes sense.
yeah. Okay, let's see. A to Z. Or A to Z for us. Plutophobia. I think this is the game. You can pretend. Everyone has to try at least one guess as to what it might be.
Say it again.
Plutophobia.
Fear Pluto.
Blue. Fear.
No. Remember, it's not going to be like associated with the word that it's in.
No,
a
'cause it's all
fear
Latin
of
shit, yeah.
bathing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess ablution. I guess that makes sense.
Right. Angrophobia.
Angrophobia. Fear of getting angry?
Yeah, it is. Well done. I'll do. Let's see. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Oh, okay. Balloon phobia.
Fear of balloons?
No.
Fear of bologna. Ground meat in a sausage.
It's the fear of getting the sensation of pins and needles.
Oh. That's
Could
interesting.
you imagine living your life being like, I can never get pins and needles? Like, I will actually have an attack if I got pins and needles.
Oh man, you would have to be like kind of moving constantly so that your fins never go to sleep.
Never go to sleep. How would you? Oh, what if you woke up with it? That would never be a good situation. Ooh, okay, this one's an interesting one. I don't know how this is a chromatophobia.
Chromatophobia?
Chromatophobia.
Fear of metal?
Fear of shiny things?
No. Fear of spending money. You're so afraid of spending money that you probably don't do a lot of that.
Fear of using the Chrome browser?
Here's an easy one though. I hope everyone gets this one. Are we ready? All of us video game nerds. Chronophobia. So think
fear of Chrono Trigger.
No, but what is the association
Fear
with
of
chrono?
countdowns.
Close.
Fear of timers?
Even closer. Think broader.
Fear of time?
Yes.
Oh.
Weird.
Fear of time. Okay.
Weird.
Fear
Fear of noobs.
Let's try. Okay, here's another one some people might get, and is a legit thing that I would think is very legit. Even though I do not have this phobia, dentophobia.
A fear of the dentist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have that, but I fucking hate the dentist. I hate my teeth.
I have a mild dentophobia.
Here's something that if you have this, we cannot be friends. Elurophobia.
Fear of lesbians.
No. That's also a rampant phobia out in the world, but
No,
next thing closest to my heart.
Fear of cats?
Fear of cats.
A couple of people in the chat were getting that one.
They got that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elurophobia.
Regardless, with what you said before it, regardless of what you would have said, I was going to say fear of lesbians. Just so you know.
Fear of lesbians. Well, you're in the wrong place then. Don't worry about it. Oh, I think most of us should have this. I don't know how I'm going to say this. I'm going to fuck this one up. Ephebiphobia. Ephebiphobia?
Ephebiphobia?
Ephebiphobia.
I don't know.
Fear of like young people?
Yeah. Fear of teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Naraku, it's not that you don't like cats. It's that if you were legitimately afraid of cats.
So just like on an unrelated, like factual note, so there's this book out there called Perv, and explores sexual deviancy, and not sexual deviancy in like the loaded sort of interpretation of that phrase, but like other than heterosexuality. It looked at and talked about pedophilia and differentiating it from hebephilia. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just because people use pedophilia to describe like a very broad, inaccurate, particular.
Like anything under 18 is pedophilia.
Yeah.
But
it's not. Pedophilia is very specific to somebody prepubescent, and hebephilia is somebody who's attracted to somebody who is under 18 but has hit puberty, basically. And yeah, I don't know. Not that it makes it better, but it's just like an important distinction from like a how you approach.
So that's the opposite end of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's another talk. Maybe we haven't done a sexual violence conversation yet, or sexual abuse conversation yet, but maybe we will one day. But anyways, side note, I knew that word from that book.
Word. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gamophobia.
Fear of Gambit in Destiny.
No.
Fear of radiation?
No. Fear of marriage.
Fear of talking.
Yeah. Fear of marriage.
Fear of the Hulk.
Fear of the Hulk.
Let's see. Let's scroll down the list here a little bit till I find one that's interesting.
Oh no!
Ones that I can pronounce.
Oh no, wedding.
Okay. Osmophobia.
Fear of Ozymandias.
Fear of Dr. Octavia. Dr. Otto.
Osmo, not autophobia. Osmophobia.
I don't know.
Fear of rain.
Nope. Osmophobia is fear of smells. You're afraid to smell things.
I wonder if it's like if you have a fear of a specific smell.
Or just
It
if
might.
it's
I would
just
imagine
smell.
so. I can't.
Yeah.
Like
not just
maybe
like
it is a
smells in
generalized
general,
thing,
because
but
like most like all a smell is just a particle that's just delivered on something that makes vapor, and like there's a
Mhm.
lot of those.
oh,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, I have the last one.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
It's very relevant to now. Samhainophobia.
Oh, fear of Halloween.
Yeah.
It's Samhain. It's actually it's pronounced Samhain.
Is it Samhain?
Sound phobia.
Yeah,
Sa-
Samhainophobia.
it's not spelled that way.
No, it's spelled Samhain or whatever, but
Yeah. Samhain.
Samhain.
Mhm.
Is that a
They should have put
Gaelic?
a W in there.
Yeah, I don't I think it's Gaelic. I don't know. It's some other language, but like Halloween is called Samhain in
I thought
paganism.
that would be a good one to end on. It's not a
Yeah.
good one to end on. Des
That
knew.
that feels like a pronunciation, a Gaelic pronunciation.
I've also got a list here too.
But
Uh-oh.
there's
Okay.
like Wiccaphobia. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like
Fear of
obviously
knowledge.
fear of knowledge. No, fear of witches. Oh, ooh,
Wikiphobia.
this is interesting. I didn't know there would be a word for
Oh, the
this.
Gaelic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Venus trophobia.
Fear of vaginas.
I was fear of vaginas. Yeah, that was even my.
This one's very specific.
Fear
Like-
of clitorises.
Venus trophobia.
Fear of the
Fear of
planet
Mars. No. It's very specifically worded because there's other phobias that are around this, but it's the fear specifically of beautiful women.
Oh.
Oh.
So you like there's
I know a few
lots
guys
of
that have
ones
that.
that are like fear
I
of
know, I was gonna
women,
say.
fear
Seems like a pretty common
of
fear
vaginas.
nowadays.
There's that. But
Yeah,
this one's
fear of vaginas
specifically
is gynophobia.
yeah.
Gynophobia. I guess yeah,
Gynophobia.
that's proper
Or
Latin.
no, I think that's fear of women. It might not be women specifically.
Yeah.
What, Sandra? What's glossophobia?
Is it on
What?
my list?
Glossophobia. Xander's in the chat there.
Glossophobia. Let's see if it's in the list.
Fear of
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anything, maybe that's the one phobia I have.
Public speaking. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge one.
That might be a legit phobia I have.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh
might
my
be the only
God.
one I go.
Hippopotami.
I mean, also beautiful women are very scary to talk to. So, but not a phobia.
Des, what was
Oh.
your list? What was your
Oh,
list?
I've got lots of common ones too. Hemophobia,
That's blood, isn't it?
But yeah.
Yep. Aquaphobia, fear of water. I actually know people who have these. Like I know someone who is aquaphobic and someone who is hemophobic.
Hemophiliacs, yeah.
Mesothelioma. No, I'm kidding. Metathesiobia, the fear of change.
Oh,
Oh. Metis. Okay, yeah.
Apiphobia, fear of
Fear of-
bees.
oh.
Oh.
I mean, if you're allergic to bees, I can understand that.
I did very much used to be afraid of bees as a child because my mom had convinced me that because she was allergic to wasps that I was allergic to bees when I wasn't. So I was just afraid of bees my entire childhood for no
I
reason.
hate bugs, so I don't
Yeah.
think I qualify for that though. How about what's a metaphobia?
That's not in my list. What is it?
Is it fear of
Omenopias.
yeah, noises? Fear of APIs.
Fear of eyes.
Yes, I
Interesting.
know someone who has that.
Fear of eyes, like touching your eye, or just eyes in
Just like-
general?
Just like
that people have them.
yeah,
Wow.
eyes are.
Oh, hence
bad.
the emote. I didn't put that together.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like how
Yeah.
Lauren was writing that out, being like, "Yo, this is
Side
a
eye.
serious one, kids."
You haven't talked about this side eye. Talk about emetophobia.
Oh, weird. Paunophobia. Paunophobia. Fear of
Fear of-
buttons.
Oh. I'm
Like the snappy buttons, or just like
just buttons. Like I think just like
buttons?
regular close buttons. Is it,
Oh,
or I don't know. It just says close with buttons are avoided.
uh-oh.
Naruko has a doozy in the chat there. Eucaleminoresitiphobia.
I don't know. He's too much of a troll for me to trust anything he writes. I'm not gonna trust to read it out loud. He's probably gonna make me say a slur or something.
Oh yeah, there you
I think I
go.
made it up. Yeah.
Yep. um. What's some other good ones?
I've learned my lesson, Des. I've learned my lesson around Naruko. Yeah.
I also know someone with colorophobia,
What's that?
fear of clowns.
Okay, hold on. So, I wouldn't say like I could never be in a room with a clown, but I authentically despise clowns. I'm sorry if you're a clown.
Yeah,
Like-
sorry,
All the
Naraku.
professional clowns in the chat are just like,
I just
what the fuck? I
like
didn't come here to be
legitimately
attacked.
like I know people who are clowns in real life, and I'm just like I can't be around you. Like I
Mhm.
just and I think this also tags off of my fear of mascots. I got really traumatized at a Chuck E. Cheese once, and
Jesus. That's a line.
That just
like-
it feels like a line.
like the animatronic Chuck E. Cheese things like must functioned, and like one eye like drooped down. It like looked at
Oh,
me.
no.
Anyway, it's just like not okay. Yeah.
Well, just speaking of that animatronic stuff, remember the Simpsons episode where they go to Duff World and Lisa has her trip and she starts seeing all these like weird shit happening on her drunken trip.
Oh,
As a kid, that kind of traumatized me. Like her whole trip was just like, I don't know what to make of this. As like a fucking 7-year-old, this is very strange. I was
yeah. I don't know.
I was watching
I
stuff
just
before I should have. I watched
no.
Crash. I think David Cronenberg's Crash as
Oh.
a like an 8-year-old, and I'm like, this I don't know what
yeah.
I'm watching right now because
What
it's
is that?
people that are sexually attracted to car accidents.
Yeah.
Was his movie, right?
Yeah.
And I watch people having sex like after a car accident, and I'm just like,
There's some
I need
weird
an
things
adult.
in that
Just
movie.
Baby
I
Joe
need an
just
adult.
Yeah, it was not a yeah.
I need an
If
adult.
you don't understand some aspects of it, it is a fucked up movie.
And it was just all downhill from there. Yeah.
I had a similar experience with I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I think that's one of the things that put me off from watching horror movies is that like one of my cousins like put that on as the movie when we were over, and like
Xandra gets
if
me.
you haven't seen that movie, not an appropriate movie for kids. It's about teenagers fucking in the woods and then getting killed by a serial killer.
Mhm.
Not great. But yeah, I had a similar experience where I was like, I'm too young to be watching this. I need an adult that is not the current adult I am with. This
Yeah.
is scary.
Showtime in the 90s was exposed little Joe to a lot of stuff that Joe should not have been seeing. But guess what I was watching every night? Showtime late night. So
yeah.
That was my like sexual health education, was Showtime late night Showtime in the 90s.
Showtime showed me the first time ladies having a good time together. So
yeah. Showed me a lot of stuff.
Not gonna judge that.
That's a different LessThan3NPC team.
Different.
Yeah.
I mean
I mean, I don't know if I was scared. I mean, obviously little gay Kara was just like
was like
enthralled with it probably more than anything. But what I was more afraid of was getting caught watching it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a legit fear. Holy fuck. Okay, let's talk about that real quick.
Holding your finger on the last channel button, because there was like a last channel button on the remote. Like holding your finger on the last channel button on the remote, just in case you need to hit that and then hit the next channel so that they couldn't go back using the last channel button.
Yeah.
That was a legit fear of like experiencing my first like visual gay experience, and then like knowing my parents were upstairs or
We're
something like
watching
that.
you experience that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The last
Um,
channel tech. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I had that
Pippin,
queued up.
what are you doing, bud? Malaya's here,
But not here.
not here. She
My
was
gosh.
at the beginning of stream. She was underneath, and then she walked away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the queen is here.
I just have this thing with one orange brain cell.
Yeah.
Pippin falls into the orange cat stereotype quite well.
Oh yeah.
Has anyone else seen this thing about?
Yes. Kink. So on Showtime late night, I think it was just called Kink or something like that. That was my main one. I think I do recognize Red Shoe Diaries. I'd have to go look that up to be reminded of it though. But yeah, I was exposed at a young age to leather and whips and all kind of stuff, and didn't look away. Let's just say that. But again, we won't explore that anymore. That feels like a different lesson.
That feels like a different episode.
Yeah.
That feels like an episode I'm happy to facilitate.
Everyone needs to know this is what cat muzzles can look like now. I sent
It's not
this.
focused. Oh yeah. The space.
They like
Yeah.
put their
see,
head
I don't
through
like-
little
I don't
little
like that.
capsules.
Yeah.
I don't like that though, because like, what if the animal sneezes on the inside of it, or like sometimes
I
it
mean,
can, like,
it's temporary.
I know, but like
it's-
their whiskers are all crushed up against it. I don't like
I
it.
think they're big enough.
I don't know how
that
they eat in that thing.
That's
a
a kitten. They're
I don't know
small.
how they eat in the
Small.
cone, but
No, it's not
Yeah.
a cone. It's a muzzle.
no, but I don't know how they eat in the cone.
Oh,
either.
it's just a muzzle. It's
Yeah.
just for like when they're getting handled.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a thing they have
no,
to
no,
exist.
it's not a
in.
cone
okay.
replacement. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
Hess,
I'm much more.
Oh
There
my
was
god.
a different show with
Hess.
the,
Yes,
kind of older
Doctor.
lady talking. Dr.
What's her
Sue?
name? Dr.
something like-
Sue.
Yeah,
This is a Canadian thing.
yeah,
Yeah, we did not have this. We
Doctor-
talked
we
about
talked
this.
about Dr. Sue once.
Yes.
yeah.
What a blessing that woman was. Although she didn't really
In-
talk about gay stuff at the time.
No, but I think she like introduced just enough that I wasn't like brainwashed by the fucking badass, or not badass, the horrible public school sex education
Yeah.
curriculum. Like she gave me just enough that like, hey, pleasure exists. And I was like, oh, okay.
But Dr. Sue was American. What? There's a lot of Americans we've talked about who's always like, who's Dr. Sue?
Yeah,
No. I don't,
Anyway,
yeah,
she was a hero in Canada.
yeah. I think she. I don't know. I thought she was Canadian, but
how do you guys feel about snakes?
I like snakes. I love
As
reptiles.
long as they don't bite me.
Okay.
Like I can
love
have a
reptiles.
snake on my shoulder, no problem.
Ophidiophobia is the fear of snakes.
Ophidian? Yeah, that makes sense.
Phobia.
It is 9.
Oh, needles. Who's
Almost.
afraid of needles? I'm not.
I'm not. I've been poked like a pincushion ever since I was a kid.
I can't really
Yeah.
watch.
I
needles.
watched the needle go in.
Some people like, Kara watches the needle go in. I'm like, you just do your thing. I'll look over here. You know.
I'm fine with watching the needle going in as long as I'm not watching blood coming out.
Mm,
I find
blood
it interesting.
blood draws, I don't like because I'm like, my brain is just like, that fluid seems like it should be inside you.
yeah.
But like
give that back.
if they're putting an IV in, I don't care. I actually know how to take out and dress my own IV because
Right. I was that 6-year-old who like watched surgery videos on TLC. Like that didn't bother me at all. I was like, that's so cool.
ooh.
Mhm.
Here's one that I definitely have.
Oh.
Tocophobia. Tocophobia.
What is that?
Fear of pregnancy.
Oh,
Oh.
that feels like a
I don't
legitimate-
have that.
Yeah.
Never have.
Nope. Well, I mean, I don't.
Mostly because I'll never get pregnant. Like that's the thing.
I am so concerned about becoming pregnant that I know the rape statistics for people my age, and I am still on birth control
Mm.
because even if that were to happen, I don't want any of that. On the
I hear you.
Yeah.
On the off chance.
Yeah.
Fear of pregnancy. Yeah.
A different friend has that too.
Me.
A different friend has it too, and
There's
Oh,
no
doubles
reason for me to
down.
be on birth control right now.
Doubles
wonder
down
why
on the
that
birth control. Yeah.
word family comes from.
Tokophobia? Toko phobia.
Yeah, but like
But it's
don't know.
like Latin. They're
word
all Latin.
origin.
Most of them are Latin, I would imagine.
Well, Toko is also a Japanese word. Oh yeah, it's like a whole bunch of etymology. Comes from Dutch. Storehouse?
Okay.
Fear of bodily autonomy. The entire Supreme Court. Yep.
Oh my god. I read on this thing, I read ichthyophobia, which is the fear of fish. But because the font on this document is weird, I looked at it and I thought it said fear of the Irish.
Specifically,
Yeah.
just that.
Yeah.
I have the opposite of pyrophobia. I have pyrophilia.
Oh, I guess that's true too. Actually, this comment about pregnancy was just mentioned here about how it's quite uncomfortable and painful. I think I'd be afraid of that. Not so much being pregnant, but the act of giving birth, I would probably be extremely afraid of.
I think like the phobia, the techophobia, or whatever it was, I think it's the idea of being pregnant, I think, is the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's anything involving pregnancy or because men can have it too. Because you can fear getting someone pregnant.
Yeah. Phobia is Greek. It could be. I don't know.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now. No.
I lost it in my list.
It is Greek, and then it turned into Latin, and then now it is used in English.
Might be both.
Yeah.
Pippin.
Phobia was not used for a very long time.
No, phobia was like a sort of a new agey medical term, wasn't it?
I'm gonna go back to the year 0 and apply it. Oh, we cannot do between 1500. I guess they only have data from the 1500s.
Amateurs.
Amateurs. So the word was basically non-existent in usage from 1500 to 1700. And then it kind of like had a big of a little spurt there in the 17 to the 1750s, then went away again, and then came back in the early 1800s. And we kind of been using it since.
I wonder if there's been like, if you could tie that to like certain fads in like psychoanalysis. Not that like,
well, maybe
back then psychoanalysis was a thing, but we've always had that evolution in human society where there was somebody coming up with stuff around the mind and the brain and stuff like that. And so I wonder if there's spikes in phobias correlates with like spikes in diagnosis with like
sort
fads.
of like the autism thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if it was a Greek word to begin with, that can be pretty old, but it was only used probably by like, I don't know.
But don't
it's
like,
probably a generalized word.
Don't like medical and like scientific things pull prefixes and suffixes from Greek stuff.
I'm just saying like phobia was probably like a casual word. You know what I mean? Like it might have just meant fear back then.
Yeah. We're getting to like a linguistic branch.
Etymology.
Right, yeah.
I mean, oh my. Oh, it used to mean it was phobos, meaning aversion, fear, or morbid fear. And then we transferred it into phobia as a prefix. Cool. Language is weird.
I use the word neophobic a lot.
Neophobic?
Neophobic. Fear of new things.
Yeah.
It's lots of animals, whenever we talk about like wild animals or whatever, sometimes we'll determine their like level of sociability by like how neophobic they are. It's like coyotes, pretty neophobic. Wolves, sort of neophobic. Foxes, less neophobic.
Yeah.
sort of their tolerance for new things entering their environment.
Yeah. Hess is asking if there's a fear of etymology.
Probably.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there is. How did we come to be?
Yeah. Fear of etymology. As soon as we started talking about etymology, we saw our numbers dip a little bit.
Yeah,
Found the
basically.
people were afraid of it.
It is 9 o'clock though.
Yeah.
So any
but yeah.
anything else to add?
No.
It's okay to be afraid of stuff sometimes. Sometimes it's just
Mhm.
your body's natural reaction to nothing that is threatening to you in some way. And if you want to get over fears, I think that's totally possible. With work and therapy and
all that
support.
stuff.
Xander found the longest one, which is also a fear of longest words. I'm not
Yes.
even going to try that.
I feel like that's a
Hippopotamonstrosquipedaliophobia.
That's
Damn.
prank.
That was nice. Nice, Des.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. Please be
Mhm.
safe if you're going to go out and do Halloween-related festivities. Though knowing most of you nerds, you will probably stay in and play video games. And that's just fine.
Well, that's what we're doing Sunday night
Hell yeah.
on 2NPC
Mhm.
community
And
games.
I'm doing Festival of the Lost on Friday with Destiny.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
be ready Sunday night for Phasmo or other community games, whatever we can come up with.
I think it's got to be Phasmo.
Phasmo. There's also... I was going to send you a game. I was going to send you Pummel Party.
Oh, you mentioned that one before. It's like a really gory,
it's like a really gory Mario Party.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's very fun. And it's also sort of Halloween-y, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Our little message thing, and we'll look it up.
Which, by the way, if you aren't part of the Discord and you want to be a part of the Discord, I have
We always
links.
like new friends. We always like new friends.
Come join us. Come hang out.
Remember rule number 1, don't be an asshole. We'll kick you out real quick.
Yar.
Yar.
Yar. Yeah. So community game night, 2NPC. It's going to be
This
a
Sunday?
blast this Sunday. I have it
Des,
on my
are you going to make it?
Yeah, I have it on my calendar. If you if you inform me when there's going to be a community game night in advance, I am more likely to be there.
Okay. Very good.
So yeah, we're going to play some games. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to go to a Halloween drag show this weekend.
Well, fun.
That sounds awesome.
It's going to be a great time.
Very good.
Kara, feel better.
Yeah. Fuck COVID. That's our sign off today.
Thank you so much for toughing it out for us tonight.
Yeah,
we appreciate you.
Through. Yeah.
I'm on the upswing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go get some rest now.
Can only go up from here.
Yeah.
I just want cuddles from Malaya, but she won't give them to me.
No.
No.
But I get it, and I respect her.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
She's not a cuddly cat, that's for certain.
Not a cuddly cat.
She misses her mama.
Yeah.
She's a cuddly cat until you feed her, and then she's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I know from experience.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, then I will close this out. As always, thank you everybody for coming in, participating, for chit-chatting. I saw a bunch of people from CL's Discord in here. Thank you so much. And have a good night. Have a good weekend. Live well, laugh often, and hail Satan. Bye.